So to start with, this is my mind map. I really liked how I did this because I basically did my theme, which is ephemera, in sort of collage paper. So some of it, as you can see, is like written, and that's like by me, like the brown paper, and then some of it is printed. So I chose the theme ephemera. The definition of that are things that exist for only a short amount of time, so they don't last forever. And I have lots of different things on my mind map. So I have, it's like a connection to the past, like certain things from childhood and like letters, like birthday cards, Christmas cards, stuff like that. I have like fleeting moments and how you freeze these moments in photographs. Simple things that become a routine, or laughter, the scent of something like a candle. I also have forms that change, like natural forms like flowers and leaves. Forms of communication like messages, emails. I have some artists. I think some of them were suggested by my art teacher because I was really unsure where to go with this theme. As you can see, the background, there's some like ink lightly and then some like ink splatters, and I did the ink splatters for a lot of this book because it was just nice and simple and it still added something to the page. I did all of these paintings using ink and are ephemeral in the way that they just deteriorate, and I do sort of go into flowers later in the project anyway, and I also experiment with ink more. I basically took photos of the sky every, I think, 10 to 20 minutes just to show the transition of the sky and just how sunsets obviously don't last for very long. And then this is my mood board. So if I just scan through it, so here are fruits like deteriorating, so obviously like I was looking at food. There are lots of stuff to do with like letters here. So I look into this artist in my sketchbook. I also have things like sewing into letters and like paper. This is paper burning. We have like thread coming out here. As you can see, it's all like cut out and stuck over again cutting out. And then we have lots of things to do with ink, and yeah, again, lots of stuff to do with like letters and paper. And also here, this is an artist I look into as well, and these are flowers frozen in ice, so I look into that in a bit. So this is just a kind of experiment decaying fruit. So in these photos you can see I had a pomegranate and an apple. I took photos of them before letting them just rot, and then after I kind of mix those photos together in Photoshop. So that's an acrylic painting, another acrylic painting. I'm not really keen on that one. This page I'm looking at the importance of paper. So I was thinking about how paper is ephemeral and like it can easily be destroyed, but you use it for so many important things. So this is like marriage certificate, birth certificate. You use it for important things like that, but also not so important things like receipts. You also use it for like letters and like cards. And then I experimented with ink here. So I did all these experiments with different brushes and like different techniques. So like letting it bleed, like in these, using like dry brushes, different colours, and also doing it like over top because it would kind of do different things. Some of them are a bit stuck. So this is just to experiment with ink a bit because obviously ink plays a part in communication on the paper. And then this is using the ink for like observational drawings of a typewriter, and I also just had different things using stamps, sort of overlaying them and stuff. And then this is my first artist. This is the artist that I kind of included in my mood board. So this artist, like I said, freezes flowers and just natural things in ice, and I really like this idea. And like I said, it's like how photos are literally pausing a moment in time, but this is sort of doing it in like a physical way, using those photos to make some watercolour paintings. So these are the paintings, all done in watercolour. So this is obviously like the whole ice block, and then we have some like close-ups of petals too. And then I, after that, decided to let the block of ice melt. Obviously after a bit, there's certain pieces which kind of break off anyway, so some of them are still kind of icy there. And then these are the ones melted, and kind of inside some of the petals, when I like fold them back, there's like ice blocks inside the flower, so yeah. And then I decided to paint those. This one's in watercolour, this one acrylic, and these are acrylic. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of experiment further with this artist. Oh, there were also these photos which were like way after, and they just went kind of mouldy, and yeah, but I didn't paint those. And then this is my next artist, which I think an image is in there from my mood board. So this artist takes like letters or messages, whatever it might be, and sews into this like special material which I didn't know about, and my teacher told me. She sews into something, it's a material which basically you sew into it, and then when you run it underwater it basically dissolves, and then as you can see, like the thread is just staying together. So I really like that. And then I used chiffon, which is like clear basically, it's a clear material, and I practiced all here, so like as you can see that's not very good, and then here like it just gets more and more legible, obviously with practice. But yeah, I really like these, and I just used different sort of messages, or I kind of made up things. And like there's the back of it as well with all the thread coming out. And this was kind of my final sort of artist response. So this is just like a little postcard written out. Some things aren't super legible, but I think it kind of looks like handwriting, which I really like. So yeah, I did that. This is the next artist. So obviously I looked into paper like a bit earlier, and like the importance of paper, so I kind of wanted to do sort of artist connected to paper, so I decided to do collage. And obviously paper is quite important, not only with like letters and stuff, but also communication through art, so I wanted to kind of look into that. These are some collages, so all the bits of paper I painted, and also painted over it, which like looking back I'm not super keen on, because it's just a bit too messy, to be honest. So yeah, I wasn't keen on those. And then I just looked at my mood board again and wanted to kind of experiment a little bit more with like paper and the sewing stuff. So I was like sewing pieces together after like ripping them apart, writing on top of writing and like from book paper, cutting things out and putting it over again. So just some fake flowers which I would like sew in, and also cutting up little flowers. This is my sort of ideas and like my map for my final piece. So I just added this artist again. This was the one who freezes flowers. I knew that I was really interested in this, wanted to do this for the final. So I had this idea of having a painting with a flower, and it's like sewn into the paper, like the painting is sewn into the paper, and also writing behind it with thread. And then I thought of also doing like a book, so I thought of having the clear fabric and then you can see the flower underneath it. I also thought of having book pages and like cutting them out, and yeah, and then that's sort of the same idea, but the writing is kind of in the shapes of flowers. And then these would be like a series of paintings of the iced flowers. And then I went to the Tate Modern to have a gallery visit in my sketchbook. I included this one because I just was really interested in it, to be honest, when I went. But then I found more things that were sort of relevant to my project. So this is lots of like fabric and like how it's sort of falling apart. And lots of writing and text sort of things like I was looking at. And then this is just further experimenting based on that previous artist. So I put a couple of flowers into water and let them freeze, but I don't think these look as good because like half of the flower is out and it's just not as interesting. I wasn't as keen on these. This is like my final piece, clearly showing what I want the actual final piece to be, mainly so that I can actually visualize what I'm doing, because I thought of doing the sort of book and I just wanted to know what I was actually doing. So yeah, just little thumbnail things of what I want to do. And I also have a mood board here, so you can see like cutting out here. Yeah, And then this is just a bit more experimentation. So I found like diaries of mine, cards, etc., and wrote them out and did like the flower underneath. And again here. I did some more like freezing flowers, but this time I did it in like an ice cube tray and just let it and just did it in like little cubes. But again, I wasn't as keen on these as my very first experiment with the pink flowers. And then these are some sample pages for my final piece, like the book. So as you can see, I have this acrylic painting here of a flower, and I've like done some like dash sort of, and I was experimenting with like writing like on top of the paint and stuff. That one's watercolor, and also this was the paper of that sketchbook because it's just like super thick, so I was experimenting with how each medium looks. So this is with watercolor, that's acrylic, and I obviously preferred the acrylic because the color was just better, and yeah, the watercolor just went really weird. And then just another kind of experiment here with how it would look. And then this is me choosing which images I want to actually paint in that book. And then this is like the measurements, so that each page is obviously the same, with like having the text in it with the like with the fabric. And then this is like an exam plan, which I don't think is like that necessary. Like I can't remember if my teacher said to do it, I just did it. So this was just like kind of help me visualize what I actually was doing across the 3 days, because obviously you only have a certain amount of hours to complete your final piece. And I also have like prep for the exam. So I think my teacher told me that like you can do certain things before the exam, and like it's okay to, if like you know like it's not possible to do it in the exam time just because of it taking so long. So I actually did certain entries like before the exam, and then I did all the painting in the exam. So that was that, and now I'm going to show my final piece. So this is the book for the final piece. I'll just go through it. So this is a card that I got from my nan and granddad, and I have the watercolour painting behind it, and I also really liked how it looks here, like you can tell with the light how the text kind of makes a shadow. I really like that. And this is obviously from the ice sort of photos, and that's just in watercolour. And I did this painting in acrylic, which I really like. This was like one of my favourites. The painters kind of made that happen. And we have like sewing writing there, and you can see on this page like back of it, I guess. And then here are all like flowers using acrylic paint, sewing off the petals, trying to put them together, and like outlines kind of thing. And also I didn't want all of the pages to be like this, so I decided to do some like singular sort of paintings with like words and stuff around it. And I also wanted little flowers and like petals and things across the page. And then we have like the cutout thing that I said about the flowers, like petals and stuff. And this is a diary entry, and then again with the shadow, which I really like. And this is an acrylic painting from the yellow sort of flower experiment. And then cutting out of like a flower shape and petals, so you can see the text behind and the painting kind of. And then this is a card to me, and this is a painting, a watercolour painting that I did. I think it went bad like on the actual paper. I did it on a different type of paper and stuck it in. Again, another spread like this. So these are done in acrylic. Again, the trying to sew it together kind of thing. And then this is the end of the book. So I obviously didn't have time, so my teacher basically told me make it look more kind of purposeful. So she told me to like tie them up, and I think it's like, in my opinion, it kind of is saying like there's more letters in here, or like cards, whatever it might be. I don't know, I do kind of like this idea. Yeah, that's what she told me to do, because it would just be a bit disappointing to like get here and then, because yeah, it's like a bunch of letters like here. I don't know, I think it's kind of cute. So that is my exam sketchbook and final piece. I got a B overall for my A-level art coursework and exam. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Please like and comment and subscribe if it was helpful, and just let me know if there's any other videos that you'd like to see that would be helpful for you. But yeah, that's it, so thank you for watching.